So that's kind of the part where I'm like, no, I don't believe that they have ex-military guys that are in there actively training them, lifelong military guys with a ton of experience that are doing the day-to-day operations on their training.
You've seen some of the videos I've sent you. You've probably seen throughout social media as well. We know that because I wrote an article about this. We know that Los Zetas have a foundation of training that the special forces have taught them, and I can only imagine that they've only grown and improved since. We see Cartel, just such as the CJNG, have a very tactical branch. Does any of that concern you, as someone who's been in a high level of military tactics? Does concern you that if we do have to go kinetic, that there's a reasonable fight that could happen?
Yes and no. And I know that, and it's really on two levels. The videos that we watched and me and you even had a conversation on about them having high level people that was, if you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but one being a Green Beret, one being a Ranger, and one being an ex-unit guy, like that are part of their training and tactics. And the first thing that we talked about were, well, if you know what group they're from and you know what Ranger battalion they're like, if you know that much about them, then I want names. Like who are these guys? Because I don't know of anyone like that. So I'm not sure, at least in this particular instance, that they have that type of personnel managing them. I don't believe there's an ex-unit guy over there, that switched sides and is actively working with and for the cartel. I could be wrong, but again, if we know he's an ex-unit guy, we know that because someone found out about him and his background. Then give me a name. I'll let you know. So until then, I don't believe they do. So that's kind of the part where I'm like, no, I don't believe that they have ex-military guys that are in there actively training them, lifelong military guys with a ton of experience that are doing the day-to-day operations on their training. The flip side of that, which is, yes, we've had 7th Special Forces Group training in South America for almost generations now. But they basically just teach them basic 7-8 skills. And especially these days, in anything that you could, those manuals, they can get online. There's training videos online. They don't need Green Berets to go down there to teach other people for them to steal those tactics and bring them over. It's common knowledge at this point. And at the end of the day, you have to have the people, as you well know. It's one thing to have the knowledge. It's a whole nother thing to have the actual people that train for this day in, day out, and are capable of utilizing those tactics. Do they have those guys? I don't know, but I know this. They're not the American military. And I don't think, could they be a formidable force? Maybe. Are they better than the American military? No.
Yeah. Those who are listening, if you heard Brent mention the 7-8, that is the field manual for basic infantry tactics. Simple things as patrolling, setting up, I don't even know if setting up an ambush, that's in the Ranger handbook, but maybe 7-8 has it. I can't even remember. It's been so long. But either way, basic military tactics, it is an open source you can find online. So that's what he was referencing. Yeah.
But I'll say this.
Go ahead,
regardless of tactics, the truth is they have home field advantage. And if there's one thing we've learned as a military, and I'll go ahead and dispel this, people say, oh, you're the greatest military in the world. Afghanistan kicked your ass. That's absolutely not true. Absolutely not true. We haven't lost a battle in Afghanistan or Iraq. We've done nothing but stack bodies everywhere we've been. Nation building is very difficult. And the only person that could have lost the Afghan war, because we won every battle we were ever in, were the Afghan people. They didn't want it, and we can't make them want it more than we do. So for them to even try to, reach for that and say, well, you're not the greatest military power. You've been handed losses in Afghanistan and Iraq. By the way, Iraq is obviously a pretty founded, pretty well established state at this point. Iraq's doing pretty good. Yes, it took a long time, but Iraq is its own state. The only reason why Afghanistan isn't a free country right now is because the Afghan people, like I said, just didn't want it as much as we do. And I think you can ask ISIS if, how powerful the American military is. But you have a hard time finding some of them to ask them questions, and we're the reason why.
I appreciate that. You said something earlier, and I didn't get to address my thought on it, but it also, the same thought goes with when you're saying that that you believe there isn't someone from the unit that's teaching. I've seen a lot of crazy things when it comes to the Mexican side of the conversation, because the financial backing, the drug backing, has made everyone corrupt in a sense. And I can't say everyone. That's kind of I shouldn't say everyone, but it is hard to say when you said, let's just kind of help them. I'm always nervous. Like, yeah, I'd love to see Mexico take charge and control the narrative and start to, take down the cartel themselves. But they're so inundated with corruption. So many law enforcement are still corrupted. I've seen it personally as an agent on the ground. Some of the border agencies that we've worked with, corruption, politicians, corruption. There's question that the current president of Mexico right now is corrupt. So when you say that, do you think that's a possibility that we could actually assist them without seeing the corruption that they have currently and that they've had for many years?
Yeah, I've done work, plenty of work down in South America. So Mexico not being one of them, and so I haven't. I can't speak firsthand knowledge of that, but your hesitation of working with them for those reasons, like you said, are well documented, and that is a valid concern. That is, and there's really no way of ensuring that everybody we work with, has been properly assessed. So it's like anything else. There's always risk when it comes to reward, and the bigger the reward, usually the greater risk. And you just have to do your due diligence and do the best that you can to weed that out. But I'm not sure you ever completely weed that out.
Yeah. What's going on, y'all? I'm not sure if you know this, but Borderland Narcosis is sponsored by First Form. First Form is a wellness supplement company. And, I've been with them for about 7 years. And I've been with them for that long because I truly believe in not just the product, but the people who own the company. They are a culture that just believes in your health. And so if you guys haven't tried it before, I would recommend you go and check out the Formula One Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Add a little bit of a ignition to that, and you'll have exactly what you need for your post-workout drink. This is something I've used for a very long time. When I'm in the best shape of my life, it's always been because I have a nice regimen of the First Form products. So if you guys are interested, go check them out at firstform.com/borderland. Okay, use our link. It is the #1 stphorm.com/borderland. And if you order over $75, you get free shipping. And if you're new to the site, you get a free app for 30 days. So go check it out. Again, thank you so much for all the support. See you soon.